And welcome back to the Shortball podcast. For a under-19s Origin review, Queensland got the W at North Sydney Oval last night, 28 points to 14 over New South Wales. Pretty clinical display all round. The forwards very, very good. I've sort of posted my immediate thoughts over on Instagram, so I'll go a little bit into more detail. I've got a stat sheet to look at here as well for a few numbers. For reference, I'll rewatch the game earlier today and sort of watched it in a little bit more detail than I did while I was live at the game. Just picked up a few extra sort of things that I didn't notice in my initial watching as well. So we'll get straight into that. First of all, full credit to Queensland. Better side on the day. And I thought, in the lead up, I was speaking about how I thought they were the better side. And they had the better forward pack and all that just sort of proved to be true in the end. They've had 3 Queensland forwards were an age up in this contest and they were still just simply better. It was quite a disappointing performance as well from a New South Wales perspective, especially in the rewatch. In my initial thoughts in the video that I put up, I thought Hayden Watson's kicking game was very good. Like watching the game live, he had a couple of miscues, but there was a lot of kick pressure on him. I thought Dello and Jennings and a couple of those guys had a few good moments of kick pressure that sort of put his kicking game off a little bit, but his kicking game wasn't as good as the back 3 were just poor for New South Wales. A lot of balls bounced. They just weren't going up to contest it at all. And I noticed that at the game live as well, but it really stood out in that rewatch. Like just how many times that it wasn't necessarily Hayden Watson's kicking game that was forcing them to make these errors. It was just, they were just hesitant and not coming up towards the ball. I thought that was terribly disappointing from a New South Wales perspective, how many times that they allowed the ball to bounce. But we'll sort of follow the game along from the start and sort of go from there. But yeah, I thought early on, New South Wales looked like they had sort of the early dominance. The first 5 minutes or so, they were on top of the game, like visually at the game live. I rewatched it and it come off an error, a Queensland error that they got the early field position. Not an error, but they dropped the ball backwards, got pinned inside their 10. And I thought early, there was a couple of early big tackles from, the likes of Chris Petrus. I thought he was New South Wales' best in this game. Chris Petrus, he had a couple of pretty big shots early. Christian Tapar-Moores did as well. I thought early on they were good. But, it didn't take long for Queensland to get into the rhythm of the game. Once, Hayden Watson got a couple of big kicks away early, they were able to sort of settle into the contest. I think second or third set for New South Wales, they started on the 50, but then they had a set that started on the 20, and the Queensland defensive line just put so much pressure on them. Bishop Neal came up with a shot, Coiner came up with a shot, and Tupou Francis came up with a couple of big hits as well, and just pinned them inside their 40 off of that set, just constricted them, as I sort of mentioned in the program. Cody Starr as well, I thought he was good in his first stint. But yeah, early on, that set sort of just summed up the game, the Queensland's physical presence and their defence. It was sort of what I was expecting pre-game with how, defensively just good their middles are. And they couldn't miss a tackle in that first 20 minutes either, Queensland. It was really, really dominant performance all around. Amari Wynyard, I thought, was very, very good in that first half. He obviously scored the opening try, a good little bit of awareness. Off the back of that initial set where they sort of pinned New South Wales between the 20 and 40, they, march up the field, get an attacking kick in, a penalty goes their way, and then they score a try through Amari Wynyard. And I thought defensively he came up with a few huge stops. He had that, I think it was him and Cody Starr that had the miss on Toby Batten for that try in the second half, but I thought in the first half they were both very good. A guy that I wanted to speak on from the Queensland side, a lot of defensive pressure on that left wing was CSI Poese. Hey, Dane Jennings, I was sitting there complaining about how Dane Jennings just didn't get enough quality ball. You need to get that kid early ball, and I thought he was still one of their best, right, Dane Jennings? He came up with a few big plays, which I'll talk about in a second, but, every single time it went out to that New South Wales right edge, Poese just had his man, completely covered. Come up, shooting out of the line, made the correct decision, 9 times out of 10. I'd nearly even say 10 times out of 10. Defensively, just super, super sound. And, it wasn't really something that I picked up on as much live watching the game, but certainly in the rewatch there was probably 4 or 5 times that New South Wales shifted right. And, I thought the halves were pretty disappointing, to be completely honest. And like a couple of those balls were telegraphed, and like they just didn't get enough quality ball out to Jennings. But every single time Jennings touched the ball, Poese was in his face. It was just, he had zero time to do anything with it, and it was thanks to that left winger's decision making in defence. I thought he was super impressive for Queensland, CSI Poese. And yeah, just helped them to shut down anything that New South Wales tried to create. Like, you look at the try that they scored, New South Wales' first try was actually pretty good on a Tony Large and Carter Mariko linking up, probably the only time that they did throughout the whole entire game. They go left, Toby Winter tips onto Iacopo, and he sort of barges over. It was a solid try. The second try was just a bit of Toby Batten brilliance, and like, other than that, like, Queensland just defensively very, very strong. The back three was a big difference, sort of yardage. I'll have a look at the numbers here, yardage-wise, but like Elise Clark, 156 metres from 17 carries, CSI Poese 16 for 120. Like, this is the back five for New South Wales. Only two of them went up over 100 metres. That was Toby Winter and Joe Baranke, who both had 111 metres, which is less than the 1, 2, and 3 for Queensland. Like, that was a big difference there. And yeah, then you look at the tackle efficiencies over here as well. Like, again, like I said, missed tackles, not the be-all and end-all. Tackles, like, it's a very misleading stat. But you look at the numbers here, like, 3 Queensland forwards were over 90% tackle efficiency. Diesel Hagan was the only... Diesel Hagan and Christian Tapau-Moores, who... Tapau-Moores only played 22 minutes. Like, he was 95.2%. Diesel Hagan was 92.6%. His defence was actually very good. Diesel Hagan, 50 tackles, 2 missed. Very busy through the middle. I thought in attack he could have come up with a few better options, but defensively he was very sound, Diesel Hagan. So you can't speak too negatively upon his game. But yeah, it was just a bit of a tough watch from New South Wales perspective, and Queensland just far too good. I thought as well, another guy that I wanted to speak about, although I should probably go back to that, talking about the game from a perspective. So they scored that first try, Mario Wynyard goes over, and then from there they were just pretty dominant. Again, like I said, the forward pack, you just keep talking about it. I'll just go on and on about it, because those forwards were really the difference in the game. Like I said in the preview, they've got a better forward pack, and they just dominated that game. Tupou Francis, 11 for 91, 2 tries, a line break, a couple of offloads. That offloading game, actually, I said in the preview, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 15-2, and they're just completely rolling here. You got 1, 4, 5... 6, 12, that's straight from Bishop Neal, that jump, 13, 14. So Queensland had 14 offloads to 3, 4, 6, 7. So 14-7 was the offload count in the end. So it wasn't as big a discrepancy as probably I thought watching the game live, but it is still a big discrepancy. But anyway, they roll along. Tupou Francis scores that try. Obviously, I just mentioned he had a really good game with those 2 tries, and 39 tackles as well. Very busy through the middle, defensively very strong. Just a top performance from him. I've sort of already posted about those up and age forwards in Jet Ryan and Tupou Francis and those sorts of guys. Just the fact that Queensland, go a little bit into detail here. The fact that Queensland have 3 up and age forwards in this contest who were 3 of the best players on the park is ridiculous. Like, Tupou Francis, you know how much of a gunner he is. I've spoken enough about him. Bishop Neal as well. Like, 6 offloads in a single game. He terrorised that right edge. And, him and Alize Clark were awesome in this game. But like, Jet Ryan as well off the bench, jersey 17. I said in the preview, he's the most Queensland pick of all time. I actually didn't know he was an age up prior to this contest, and then sort of was looking at it after and got told that he was up in age. It's like, he come onto the field, his stint was awesome. Like, every single run had impact. He didn't miss a tackle. he just looked dangerous. And apart from that Shepherd, probably a poor moment, apart from that, like, he did everything at 100% and he did everything well. 0 errors as well, like 8 runs, 87 metres, 12 tackles, 0 misses, 0 errors in like 37 minutes. Like, it's just a good work rate. It's no nonsense. It's, just do the job that you have to do off the bench. And he'll come back next year and be in this side and be one of the premier players. I have no doubt over that. Like, very good for season for the Storm in SG ball. Just one of those guys that you'd love to play next to. Contact, very good. He had a couple of moments there, just completely dominating tackles one-on-one as well. Like, yeah, I was very impressed, particularly on that rewatch. Like, watching the game live, I probably missed his game. Like, I noticed a couple of good moments from him, but I probably missed the detail in his game. And yeah, he was incredible. And, obviously everyone knows how good Bishop Neal and Tupou Francis is and was. And, sort of had expectations on those guys coming in. But, those 3 guys that were up in age just absolutely killed it. And then another one as well. Like, I mentioned him just before, Alize Clark. 17 runs for 156 metres, scored that awesome try running off Hayden Watson, who obviously I'll talk about in a second player of the match and all that. I thought that was an easy choice, but like he scores that try running off Hayden Watson. He was part of the build-up for Tupou Francis' second try. He just had a couple of really nice moments, like that kick that went in behind from Carter Marika. He's sweeping around the back, picks it up, makes about 20 metres, and what could have been a very, very good kick from Mariko turns into Queenslander at the 20 and are rolling now. Yardage carries were very good. Defensively, I thought this was the big moment. Like, obviously, so he missed the tackle on Marcelo Siakopo. You allow that to happen, but like Toby Winter skips to the outside of him. It's that typical 2-on-2 situation that you see Toby Winter in the red zone. It's the highlight that, if you did video on him coming into a game, you could see that a million times. He gets the center one-on-one, skips to the outside, and it's try time for his winger. It's try time for him. Alize Clark shoots up and just snaps him in one of the best tackles of the game. I thought that was a huge moment, and it sort of summed up as well that first, particularly that first half for me from a Queensland perspective, was they just refused to miss a tackle. Like, for the most part, like I just, New South Wales had plenty of attacking opportunities, and, Poese screaming up, Alize Clark screaming up, and just making these really crucial one-on-one tackles out in an edge, and then through the middle as well. Like, those guys that I mentioned before in Wynyard and Bishop Neal and, Coiner, they had those moments as well, making those crucial one-on-one tackles when New South Wales were rolling a little bit. So, yeah, it's just, you can just wrap Queensland all day for this performance. That would just a better side overall. From a New South Wales perspective, where do you start? I think the 2 back rowers, Darcy Smith and Chris Petrus, I thought were their best players by far. Darcy Smith, he broke a couple of tackles. I think, what did he have? I think he had 8 tackle breaks, or something along those lines. Like, he had a few tackle breaks, 16 runs for 130 metres, and Chris Petrus, 12 runs for 114. Petrus missed that tackle for the Tupou Francis try, but he was just everywhere in that first half. I can forgive him for being a little bit tired considering the work rate that he got through. And then Darcy Smith, he had one error in terms of, he was on the ground and threw away an offload. It was a silly play. But apart from that, like, he looked there most likely. And those 2 just punching holes. Really shining lights in this game. Dane Jennings as well. Like, look at Dane Jennings 12 months ago, 24 months ago, whatever it is. If he's having a game where he's not getting that early quality ball that he likes to get to be able to create these magical moments that he can have, he's not really impacting the game, or he's not doing too much. I thought here he had some huge plays. He come up on a loose ball that was sort of thrown around. There was a couple of offloads going around. He jumps on the loose ball. Queensland were attacking. I think they're up 12-0 at this point, or it might have been 6-0 early in the half. And he comes screaming in, makes a crucial tackle when, I think Bishop Neal got an offload away, and then it went to Tupou Francis across to Latayo, and he comes up with the tackle there. He just come up with a few good moments, a couple of kick pressure and screaming up on the kick chase, just a couple of moments there. I thought he was good. He had 16 tackles for 0 missed as well. Defensively, very, very strong. Like, he just did not allow those opposition outside backs to really do anything against him. And when you look at, like I said, the improvement of Dane Jennings over the years, he doesn't have a game of this quality. Like, he was good, Dane Jennings. He doesn't have a game of this quality without that early attacking ball and the ability to create something magical. He did this game off the back of just hard work and being a good defender. And that's something that you couldn't say, 12 months ago, 24 months ago. So I think his improvement has been incredible to see. As I'm just getting notifications in the background, hopefully that hasn't come up too loud, but it was loud as hell in my ear. Looking through a couple more of the numbers, look, I've got to be honest about it. I thought the left edge was very poor. Defensively, in attack, I thought Marcelo Siakopo actually attacking-wise, he had a couple of really good yardage carries, strong ball runner. He scored that try, obviously, as well. I thought he wasn't too bad in attack, but hey, those missed tackles for some of those tries, on that Hayden Watson try, that was a bad miss. He comes out, just tries to put a shot on, and it doesn't stick at all. And then, that Alize Clark try just fell off him. A couple of bad missed tackles there. On a Tony Large, just thought he was too quiet. He just really... Their attack just wasn't offering enough. Carter Mariko as well, I thought he was pretty poor. And on Tony Large, I thought defensively he was actually pretty solid. He came up with a few good stops on Bishop Neal. But, a couple of offloads came away off him. And, I just thought generally they were getting terrorised by Bishop Neal all day. And Alize Clark was one of the best players on the field as well. They were getting terrorised by him. And, Hayden Watson as well was mostly going down that right edge and had plenty of joy. Hayden Watson, I spoke about in the preview. Queensland have got a great forward pack. They're just going to make their attack heliocentric around Hayden Watson. He does what he wants to do, and everybody else has just got to fill in the line. I thought they did a very good job of that. He got the ball. He looked dangerous all day, and he comes up with a lot of the attacking plays. Obviously, he has that try assist to Alize Clark. He has a try assist for Tupou Francis' second try. He was in and around that the whole time. He scores a try himself, an awesome running halves try. Just every single time you looked up, Hayden Watson had the ball in his hand in attacking territory. It was just the ideal performance from him. What's his numbers? 13 for 114 run meters, 7 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, a try, 26 tackle. Yeah, defensively as well, he was very good, actually. I meant to mention that. He comes screaming out of the line and made a couple of big hits, and sort of nothing really went through him either. I've actually got a try causes sheet here down the outside. This is good detail here, but yeah, no try causes for him, no errors, no penalties, nothing. It was a 10 out of 10 performance from Hayden Watson, really, and I thought he was easily the man of the match. I know a lot of people were sort of saying Bishop Neal and stuff like that. I thought, I had it pre-prepared that Hayden Watson had it won. I put it on my full-time graphic before it even been announced. I just thought, the amount of quality touches he had on both sides of the ball. He made 26 tackles as a half, and just defensively was incredible. Visually as well in both watches, in watching it live and in the rewatch as well. Best player on the park by distance. Anyway, back to New South Wales. Spoke on Diesel Hagen, spoke on Dane Jennings. I thought the bench was actually good. I saw a little bit of criticism for some of the guys off the bench. I thought they changed the game when they got on, and I think most of the points that were scored by New South Wales were while these bench players were on. Toby Batten was one of the try scorers. Roman Tuamau, he came on. Statistically, it wasn't an amazing performance, but I thought he had a couple of nice carries, getting quick play the balls away, and they rolled off the back of him. When I think his first carry of the game was, he made about 10 to 15 meters, got a quick play the ball away. The markers were down, they attacked, and I think they scored not long after that. Eddie Kalis as well. What's his numbers? His numbers weren't great either. He was on for 29 minutes, but leading the kick chase as he usually does. Defensively come up with a few big hits. I actually thought he was pretty good, Eddie Kalis. He scrambled for a couple of loose balls as well. He comes up with that charge down on Hayden Watson. Just these little effort plays that Eddie Kalis has in nearly every single game that he plays. I've seen a little bit of criticism around his game. I didn't think he was that bad. He had a pretty bad error late in his stint, probably just before he came off. Like I said in the preview, he's a guy that's an effort on effort player that probably did he was coming off the bench because I don't think he can play a full game at the moment because he empties the gas tank and he emptied the gas tank here and then came up with a late pretty poor error, but they were chasing points. So only one error, no penalties, one try cause they've got him down for. Which one would that have been? Not sure. 21 tackles in 29 minutes, 5 runs for 34, a tackle break. I don't have any assists or line break involvements here, but statistically, again, not great, but I just thought visually he had a lot of really nice effort plays. And James Finnegan as well, I thought was pretty good, although he had a couple of poor misses for mine. Especially for that Tupou Francis try. Well, he was actually the one that stuck on the contact. Chris Petrus fell off, but still, I think you probably got to be winning that contact. But I thought he was pretty good in attack. Had a couple of good carries there. Selections came under fire in the pregame, and it turned out to be pretty true. I thought that back five, like Toby Winter had 2 errors. I didn't think he was too bad. He had a couple of nice moments. Obviously had that, the try assist for Okopo. He had a couple of moments where, he put Raka through gave him a bit of space, and they, rolled off the back of that. He had a couple of good kick returns. He was probably the leading run meters or close to. He was in the top. Yeah, he was in the top 5 for run meters, but 111. One of the only members of the back line that went up over 100. No tackle breaks. That's surprising, although I guess he did get wrapped up a couple of times from some good Queensland defence. A couple of those backline selections just didn't perform all that well. 2 errors for Winter, 2 errors for Ruck. 0 errors are Archie Mesrich. I'm not sure that was correct. I thought he had an error. Thought he had an error close to his line, sort of going up for a catch, but it might have gone backwards, or I don't know. But thought he had an error as well. But I thought he let a lot of balls bounce. Did Archie Mesrich? I wasn't too critical of that selection. He was obviously killing it, but maybe not to pick him on the wing. I thought they were going to put him back to fullback actually, but because they had Toby Winter there as a winger, obviously I understand why they went Toby Winter back there. He's probably the better fullback, or at least he was an Australian schoolboys centre last year. Newcastle Knights fullback over the last couple of years, and been very good there. But I don't know. You put Archie Mesrich back to fullback. Does he have a better game? Not sure. I think he's been playing 5'8". I think he's been playing 5'8" as well. At can't remember where he was playing. But playing 5'8" somewhere. But out of position. Probably just didn't get a couple of those things correct. Marcelo Siakopa, like I said, defensively, I thought it was poor on Anthony Large. Sorry, don't pronounce the I. Thought he wasn't at his best. Carter Mariko, I just thought he had an off game. But like I said, those up and age halves and up and age spine members, he's going to be a guy that comes back into this game next year and has a blinder. I was saying that. I was speaking to someone at the game and we were saying that he hasn't had the best game, but he's going to be a guy that next year will come out and have a blinder. Especially when it hasn't been going right for you and your forward pack's not really creating all that much for you, and your back five's not getting you out of trouble all that much, letting the ball bounce and getting pinned inside their 10, and they're having to kick from inside their 40 a lot of the time. Not too much the halves could have done to fix all that. Just cut out, so I'll try and continue from where I was. I think I was talking about the halves. I don't think I've got too much more to add on the halves. Defensively, I thought they were pretty solid. What they have between them, so 40 tackles between them for 5 misses, so it's not too bad. Anthony Large's tackle efficiency here is 73%, with 22 tackles and 2 miss. That's because I'd assume of the amount of offloads that came off him. So a low tackle efficiency because he wasn't, completing some of those tackles. There would have been a lot of ineffective tackles there just because Bishop Neal was getting the offload away a lot. Another notification, hopefully, again, not too loud. But it says 2 try causes here for Anthony Large. I'm not sure because the Alize Clark went through a couple. I think he might have been involved in the second 2-ball Francis try. I think that might have gone through him. And then, other than that, anyway, I shouldn't stew too much on it. But yeah, 73.3% tackle efficiency, 22 makes, 2 misses, like 2 blatant misses. The rest would have just been ineffective tackles from Bishop Neal getting at him. And Carter Mariko, 18 tackles, 3 misses, 85.7% tackle efficiency. Carter was defensively solid. His kicking game, I thought, left a little bit to be desired. His kicking game's typically better than that. It wasn't terrible by any means, but it certainly wasn't his standard of game. There was a lot of balls that landed on the 30 and the 20. He had one kick that was probably a little bit unlucky. He found grass inside the 10, and I actually thought it was a really good kick when he first put it up, but, it just skipped along and went dead. Sometimes you get the unlucky bounce like that when it's not your day. I said in the preview, I was highly concerned about this starting front row pair in attack. I didn't think they were going to get many. I didn't think they were going to get the meters required, and between them, 9 runs between them for less than 60 meters. What do you say about that? It's very, very fair criticism. You look at the Queensland forwards. They've had 16 runs between them for 150 meters. The 2 starting front rowers in Cody Starr and Jackson Coyner. And I said their first stint was better. And they just gained the ascendancy through that first 20 minutes, and just dominated the middle. If it wasn't Petrus or Darcy Smith, they weren't making over 10 meters. They weren't breaking tackles. They weren't doing anything. It was pretty poor. Thomas Della, I thought, was very busy. Him and Diesel Hagen through the middle there combined for a heap of tackles. They combined for 91 tackles, Thomas Dello and Diesel Hagen. So very busy through the middle there. You can't critique their games too much. Like I said before, Diesel Hagen, I thought he came up with a few wrong options in attack. When he went down that blind side, I was just head in the hand sort of stuff. What are you doing? But there was something on there. He's seen something. It just hasn't come off for him. But if it comes off for him, it's probably good play. But when I was watching it live, I was like, yeah, what are you doing? And then just throws it back inside. Jackson Coyner. Again, effort plays, putting yourself in the right position. Just things that Queensland did better consistently throughout the entirety of the game. If, New South Wales had 17 guys that were playing like Jennings, playing like Petrus, playing like Darcy Smith, they go a long way in this game, but they just didn't. I'll wrap that up there. I haven't got too much more to say New South Wales wise. I've sort of commented on pretty much every player there. Was there anybody from Queensland that missed? Lidadama only played the first half. He came off. Elijah Burve came on, played the second half. I thought he was very good. What was his stats? 9 for 70 meters. 1 tackle break, 3 tackles, 0 miss, while obviously playing fullback. He was good in his stint. He looked lively off a couple of offloads. Shove Colonna, I thought, was solid. He had an error, but, I thought he was solid apart from that. I think that was actually very early in his stint as well. Taylor Tyre, I thought, looked dangerous at different points as well. Again, creating things off the bench. Jet Ryan, I've spoken about him. Frank Howarth only played the first 20 minutes, I believe, or first 30 minutes. I thought he was a little bit quiet. Kingston Seve was solid. There wasn't really a bad player for Queensland. Taj Latayo as well. I thought he did his job. Watson was the guy, and Taj Latayo just had to do his job. Taj Latayo had a moment that I thought pretty much summed up all he needed to do in the one play. Watson went right. It wasn't quite on. Bishop Neal, I think gets another offload. I could safely say Bishop Neal had 6 of the things. he gets an offload away, gets across to Latayo, and Latayo just dinks it into the corner, puts it inside 10, and they jam New South Wales up in the corner. Like, it was just a moment like that just pretty much summed up all he had to do. And, he had, 5 runs for 40, solid, 26 tackles, defensively was sound, no try causes, just did his job, and they won the game off the back of that. So, yeah, I don't think there's anybody else I've missed. Yeah, good performance from Queensland. New South Wales left a little bit to be desired, but again, like I said in the preview, I think the Queensland team was just better, and they proved to be that on the day. So, anyway, we'll wrap it up there. Make sure you go follow on my socials if you aren't already. If you're a podcast listener, go over to YouTube, subscribe on there. And if you're watching on YouTube, go over, leave a review on the podcast. Hopefully 5 stars. Or if you're not following on my socials, Instagram, TikTok, all that sort of stuff. But anyways, we'll see you on the next one. Hopefully next time I speak, and Origin's been on, it's not after another fucking Queensland win, because I'm so sick of seeing these fucking two-headed dogs win everything. 3 wins in the last 24 hours for them. And I have grave concerns over Game 3. Can we get an interim coach in for Game 3? I'd like that. But anyway, see you on the next one.